Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be the 4-position tier list for patch 7.32D, and as always, before we get into it, I just like to tell you that I get my information from like the Trends tab, Dota Buff, and Dota 2 Pro Tracker, and I kind of mash all that together and then give my own opinion. It's supposed to be like a pub tier list, kind of high level, but not like super pro level, but also not just like general all pubs. Obviously, we're going to be trending towards and kind of basing it on the higher level stuff. So anyway, that's how I arrive at this. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree, if you disagree, if you think things should be higher, lower, whatever. And as always, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all of those kinds of things. So now let's just jump into it. So at the S tier, the number one hero right now as the 4 position is Ricky. Now, this hero is a little bit of a fad, I guess you could say. It's kind of not, I don't know how to say. It's not traditionally a support. I mean, this hero has had kind of a weird history in that it has floated between support and carry for a long time, but it's never really found its groove in either position, because whenever you played this hero as a support, it was always like a carry from the support position. You know what I mean? Like you would always try to get levels and do damage, and you would kind of just play almost like a Wind Ranger for a position or something else like that, that's just like basically trying to become another carry. And then as a carry, it actually has become more of a solid carry in the last few years. But even then, it hasn't been like in the pro meta or anything like that. Like it's not like you're seeing Ricky carry at TI or anything like that. It's just more that it's at least a viable pick in Immortal brackets. And it has been for the last like couple years, but it's not that good. Anyway, that's a long way to say that now finally Ricky has sort of become a decent support, not just because it's going to go like carry items and do damage. It obviously has an AoE silence, but now, especially because of the shard with the dart, you really are this like scouting. You're almost like a Nyx assassin because you have this invis, you have this good initiation ability, and then if people don't have BKBs, you can really just like trap them in an AoE. You also have like an automatic slow, so you don't need to have like a diffusal, because if you didn't know, Blink Strike now actually slows enemies for a short duration. So not only can you dart them, you put down the cloud, then you can Blink Strike them, and then they kind of stay there, and then maybe someone else follows up with a stun. All that kind of stuff make this hero really annoying to play against in the later portion of the game. Like I said, because of the scouting, you're kind of like a Nyx assassin in that way. You just don't have, you don't really have a stun. But Sleeping Dart is very good setup. So it's its own unique kind of thing, but people are really becoming annoying with this hero. And then you can also kind of transition into more of a carry, because if you get items, if it's not just like you're just getting a shard and you're just using your cloud and stuff, you still have good damage abilities with the Blink Strike and all that kind of stuff. You have escape ability. So if you can get a few more items, if you can get a BKB, if you can get these other items and actually transition into that like 4th core, then you can really dominate the game. But you're not just solely reliant on being that 4th core. You can still have insane impact with the dart and with the smoke cloud and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people were kind of predicting this would happen once the dart came out, because people were trying to do Ricky support for a while and it just wasn't working. And now I think because of just the way the meta shifted with Wraith Pack being nerfed and other stuff getting nerfed, Ricky has kind of come to the forefront, kind of risen with all those other nerfs happening, and now this is pretty viable. And I think also people have sort of learned as they played it how this hero can be pretty good. So anyway, that's Ricky. That's kind of the long and short of it, just how the dart works in the cloud and all that kind of stuff, how you have good utility there without having to get damage items and be a 4th core. So that's Ricky, just really annoying, kind of the popular, like I said, fad, sort of just what people are playing now because it's kind of a new thing. So that's Ricky. And then next we have kind of the exact opposite, which is Mirana. So Mirana is just like the typical classic, one of the best 4 positions, or, the stable 4 positions that have just always been pretty good, always been pretty relevant for most patches. And really there's nothing too new with this hero. You obviously have the 3 leaps with insane mobility. If you have any kind of setup for your arrow, you would just have, insane pick-off potential. And you can even buy Yules yourself, obviously, to ensure you're landing arrows. And then you can, if you need to farm, you need to clear creep waves, you can obviously do that with your Star Storm. And then finally, the ultimate, I think the ultimate is really the big thing that makes this hero good. And I don't know if it will ever really go out of meta fully because of the way they changed sentries. And so if you don't know, I can't remember when it was, maybe 2 years ago, whenever it was, I'm pretty sure there was unlimited sentries, and I think observer wards cost gold as well. Like they were pretty expensive back then too. So sentries, it was just a matter of like, do I really want to buy more sentries because they cost a lot of money and I still have to buy observers, that kind of stuff. And so they've been changing the way that works and making it cheaper for supports. But in that, they made it so that there's only like 10 sentries in stock now. And so because of that, now you have to buy dust and all this other stuff, or maybe you have to potentially buy a gem. Invis heroes just become way more valuable. And the fact that you just get these free smokes, because I don't know about you, I don't know what MMR you guys are playing at, but I feel like in the last year or two, maybe 3 years, whatever you want to say, people have actually started buying smokes. I think there was like a meme for a long time, like nobody buys smokes, people don't smoke. And that's still obviously true to some extent. But if you have a coordinated team at all, if you're getting in a game where people are actually not just like straight up griefing and they're actually trying to play, people will legit buy smokes, at least at my level. And that didn't happen a few years ago. And so the reason why I'm saying that is because this hero just gives you a free smoke, basically. I mean, obviously it's not exactly a smoke, because if you're under a sentry and observer, they can see you. But it's like giving a free smoke, and you also don't have to coordinate your team. You just press R, now everyone is smoked. And it's just combining that with the smokes and all these kinds of things, I just don't think you can ever count that out now that there's only 10 sentries. And it's so hard to really, as a support, you're trying to de-ward the actual observer wards. And unless you buy a gem, it just feels so hard to get enough down to like preemptively place a sentry randomly in a lane or some spot other than a cliff where a fight is going to break out, or like preemptively see a gank happening. Plus this hero also allows your carry, or let's say you have a legion commander or something like that, to gank a side lane. Just like you don't even have to be there. You're just pressing R, and now they can kind of freely roam around and get pickoffs themselves while you're doing something else on the other side of the map, or farming safer, whatever it is. So I just think this ultimate is really the thing that makes this hero good. And then obviously you have all the little stuff like the leaps, the mobility, the stun, the clearing of the waves, like your ranged right clicker, like agility hero that can harass in lane, like just a little bit of everything this hero does. So it's just kind of that stable support. Obviously, you see, I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't like love Mirana or anything, because I'm not really a support player, so I don't like love Mirana just because the stun is not reliable. But that's just me personally. But if you really like playing support, Mirana is a very, very good one. And even if you don't like main support, I think it's a good one to learn as well. And then finally in the S tier, we have Tusk. Tusk is just a really good hero right now. You see people playing it mid, playing it off lane, but I think really it's strongest as a 4 position, because really in the mid lane and the off lane, you're trying to do more damage. You punch people and like one shot them with Deso and stuff like that, or you're trying to get Ags and kick them back, and that can be semi non-viable. Like that sometimes can't work, or maybe you're not going to reliably get enough gold and that kind of stuff. It just doesn't feel as good, although it can like insanely carry games. But I really think 4 position is where this hero shines, because you can almost do everything exactly the same. You're just like not reliant on getting that gold that you need, and you can just gank way more. You can run around causing havoc, causing chaos. And then obviously this hero is so annoying to deal with in lane. The ice shards are super annoying because you're trying to get away from the tag team with the offlaner. They're just punching you, and then the guy throws his shards out. Now you can't run away. It's just this hero is a menace to lane against. Honestly, I feel like Tusk being good is one of the reasons why so many ranged carries are good right now, because like unless you were like Slark or Ursa, which also who have like the potential good trade potential when tag team is down, or they have some kind of ability to get past the shards, or get out of the tag team. It just, you don't want to be a melee hero into this guy. Like you just can't lane up against this guy. It's so hard. You have to creep aggro constantly. It's so annoying. Just as a carry player, I'm just telling you, I never like seeing a Tusk on the enemy team in the 4 position, because I just know my lane is going to be shit unless I have a ranged hero. And then even then, obviously he can snowball on top of you, and then it can be hell even then. So just really good. And then later in the game, you have tons of different ways you can do things. I mean, this hero, you can't underestimate the damage it can do even from the 4 position. And then the fact that you can get this walrus kick thing, and like it's basically like tiny toss, but like even better. It's just crazy the amount of impact that you can do. And then this tag team is always going to be good for damage. Like it's just always good to buff up the damage and give slows and stuff like that. So, and then the save, you can never count on a save. This hero just does a little bit of everything: positioning, slow, save, damage, just a little bit of everything. So that's Tusk. Nothing extra to say about that hero, other than I think it's kind of the same thing that happened to a lot of heroes. A lot of heroes keep getting nerfed, Tusk maybe gets a buff or two here or there, but I think a lot of stuff has been nerfed a lot, and now Tusk has kind of risen to the top. It just kind of has gotten better because a lot of other stuff has been nerfed that has been good for a long time. So that's S tier, and now we're going to move on to the A tier. So first we have Techies here. Techies is actually good, and I've kind of been saying ever since the change that this hero is good. Like when I see a good Techies player, it's insane, dude. This hero, once you get shard, you literally just jump in, silence, stun, you place your little bombs around, people can't hit you because they're disarmed. Like, this hero's actually ridiculous. I think people just don't know how to play him, or they're not very good with him, or they're like, the setup to like actually hit your blast off isn't there or something. I don't know. I feel like this hero is potentially even S tier. I wouldn't be surprised if this hero gets more buffs at all, this is actually going to be like a legit competitive hero. Like, I honestly wouldn't doubt that it becomes that. It still has weaknesses, of course, but I think people are just underestimating the amount of magic damage this hero does. Now, obviously, the big thing is BKBs. Like, BKBs just screw this hero over, clearly. But, I mean, you can still play around that. I mean, every hero gets screwed over by BKB to some extent. You know, a lot of supports get screwed over by BKB, and I think Techies is no different. I think the real thing is that, I think the real downside to the hero is just that your stun is this kind of weird, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position kind of thing, and it's like it's long range, but it's like a long cast time. It's just a little bit awkward. But at the same time, I mean, Mirana is like a really good hero, has been for a long time, and the arrow's kind of not reliable either. So I think people are underestimating this hero in a lot of ways, and I still think it's really good. I mean, the win rate says it's good. People are finding out it's pretty good, and I don't think it's going to get nerfed anytime soon. Like, I don't necessarily see that. It's not like this hero's been super popular and good ever since they changed it. So if anything, this hero's going to get buffed more, and it's actually going to be legit. So that's Techies. Tiny has basically just been like a mainstay in the mid lane and as a support now for a while. Like, it was a carry there for a bit, that got nerfed, and now it's just like still one of the best supports, one of the best mid laners. You can just never underestimate the tossback. You can never underestimate the damage that this hero is going to be doing just from the 4 position. And then you're super tanky. You're hard to deal with. So even though you're jumping in, putting yourself in a vulnerable position, you're still like really hard to bring down. Like, if they commit a lot of spells to bring you down as a tiny 4 position, like, you don't even care because like you're only the tiny 4 position, and maybe you already used your combo or whatever, you know. And now, you know, they don't have their spells to kill someone else because you still have like 3 to 4k HP as this 4 position that's just like stun locking people full to 0 while your allies can like hit them, and it's still insane. And then eventually, I mean, if you get enough items on this hero, like if you're snowballing on the hero, you kind of just do the same thing you would do from mid. Now, I don't necessarily think you're going to get Daedalus and Ags, but there's no reason that you can't get a lot of stuff that you would get from the mid lane just as a tiny and still do a good amount of damage. Like, I've seen some 4 position tinies become that 4th core that does insane damage. So I think we're just like transitioning more to that. I mean, a 4 position is just becoming more of like that 4th core. Like, people, especially with the amount of gold, kind of like I was talking about earlier with sentries and all that kind of stuff, with the invis heroes now being really valuable, it just means that supports, like, really the 4 position doesn't have to, in an ideal scenario, I guess you say, buy support items anymore, like sentries or dust. I mean, you should still, if, you know, they need it. If your team needs it, you still need to buy like dust and stuff. But you really are just free to farm or participate in a lot of ganks and get your items and become that 4th core, and I think Tiny benefits a lot from that. Earthshaker, just one of these heroes that if you can manage to not be absolutely useless in the lane, you can end up being a menace in the game. If you can get your good early Blink Dagger timing, Shard and Blink Dagger, and not be useless in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can be very, very good. And I think this pairs up with a lot of good offlaners right now. Like Razor and these kinds of more independent offlaners. Whenever you have an independent offlaner where, as Earthshaker, you can just disrupt pools, you can maybe go mid and hit a stun, it just always is way better for you when you don't have to babysit your offlaner. I think that's really what makes this hero good. If you can survive the beginning of the game, you're going to have a good game on this hero. Because, especially now with the Shard, dude, you just like hit somebody with a fissure, and they're just like stun locked for their entire lives. Like, it's so annoying. And then if you ever get like an arcane rune or anything like that, and now you're just like perma stun locking people, it's ridiculous. And also the fact that, I mean, you can't underestimate the fact that illusion heroes, or at least Naga's pretty good, which obviously benefits Earthshaker too. Next we have Snapfire. Snapfire, I feel like Snapfire is the Mars of supports. And I say that because that might seem weird if you're like, what does that even mean? Mars is one of these heroes that it's just like he's always in the off lane. He's always a good off laner. He never goes out of meta. People pick him all the time. He's like the off laner now. Ever since he's come out, he's just the off laner. Even though sometimes he only has like a 45% win rate, he still gets picked all the time. And that's because his kit is just so valuable. And I think Snapfire is kind of the same way as a support. It's like ever since she's come out, she's just like, people just pick her all the time. I mean, I love playing her as a support. I think she's really good as a support. And she's just like a mainstay as a support, even though they nerfed her a lot with like her little shredder with the minus armor. It used to be like 2, I think, per attack, or maybe it was only 1, but now it's like half or something. But they've nerfed a lot of aspects of this hero. But then they changed the shard now to be like a cookie with a little lava thing, which at first I thought wasn't as good, but actually it's like even better, I feel like, because of the amount of damage. You can clear creep waves with 1 cookie from distance, all that kind of stuff. Yes, I don't think you scale necessarily as well with your magic damage ult and all these kinds of things, but I think you can farm pretty quickly on the hero. Has a really good farming spells, and you can even get stuff like Sheep and Lotus later in the game. I don't necessarily think you're going to transition to a right-click carry kind of build from the forward position, but I think this hero can legitimately get a lot of farm, and like I said, get like Sheep, Lotus, 4 staffs, all this kind of stuff that you need. And if you have honestly, that's what I go. I go like 4 staff or Glimmer Cape, and then maybe Lotus, and then potentially Sheep. Obviously, I'm getting Shard first, but if you get to like that Sheep timing with this hero, it's just ridiculous. Like this hero just owns. It's honestly insane. You can even get Ags too. Ags is pretty good. I don't love it. Sometimes on forward position, it just depends on the team that you're with, if it's very valuable in your team. But still, it can also be a really good Ags game or a really good hero to buy Ags on. So anyway, that's Snapfire. Just kind of another one of these heroes that's kind of risen to the top as other things have gotten nerfed. Next, we have Dark Willow. I'm not a huge Dark Willow player. I think this is one of these heroes that's kind of hard to execute, but it does have a good win rate. People kind of are picking it again now. The shard has always been good. Like ever since they released the shard, I think people have been, or maybe they changed it, whatever. The one where it's like now there's a bramble around the I forget the hero spell names, the stun or whatever that ticks down. Now that a bramble is created around that, and then you can place another bramble around that. So it's like you just are surrounded by brambles, you just can't escape. I think people have always, or there's always been potential for this hero to be pretty good ever since that came out, but then people just weren't picking it. It's also kind of like a high skill cap hero. It's just kind of a little awkward because it's not super reliable for the root or the stun, but it does have good, it has good damage. It has good control if you can do it. It's just like very high skill cap, I think. And people, there's nothing too super special about this hero, I don't think. It's not like there's anything that's changed drastically. It's just, again, another one of these heroes that's kind of risen as other things have gotten nerfed. And if you can play this hero and you can play it well, it can do a lot. And if you can actually transition, that's the thing. This is a unique hero because you can like stay as very support-esque with all of your support items, or you can literally go carry with this hero. Obviously, it's better in Turbo or something like that, but still, you can do that. Rubik, I think it's honestly just about like, are there good heroes in the meta right now that allows Rubik to just dominate the games? In other words, like, are there big ultimates? Are there a lot of things that Rubik can steal? I think that's just what is happening. I think if you're a good Rubik player, if you know how to play the hero effectively, you can honestly just win games straight up with some of the abilities that you can steal these days. OD being kind of more popular with like the Ags build, where now you have 2 Astrals. Rubik is just like the #1 OD counter. If you can ever steal like Naga Song, that can be very good. I know that's like almost impossible, but you could still potentially do it, I think. Maybe I'm just completely wrong about that, and you're gonna be like, you can't do that. You need like infinite rate. It's not possible. I don't know. But there's just so many spells you can steal with this hero right now, I think, that just make this hero completely broken. Well, not broken, but very good, especially if you're a good Rubik player. Keep in mind, though, this hero has the same weaknesses it always has had. Like, if it can be, if you have this hero and like some other kind of weird range support in the safe lane, and you have this weird, very squishy sit in the back style supports, and you have 2 of them, it can feel almost like you have no impact, because if there's not enough people to go in and cause chaos and get spells to come out, then you can just honestly feel useless as a Rubik. Hoodwink, very good because of the break. I think this hero's break is always going to be valuable. Like, you just can never count out a hero with break these days, because you just need break for so many things. There's so many heroes that you want to break, like in the game, just in general. Like, it's just so good. And then your stun from fog, your survivability, all these different little aspects of the hero just make it so good. Another one of these heroes I don't think has really gotten insane buffs or anything. Nothing's crazy has changed. I will say the Shard has changed to make it a little bit better. I don't love the Ags as much. I'm also not a huge Hoodwink player, so someone else would have to probably tell me if those things are a lot better. But obviously as a forward position, I don't think you're getting Ags all that much. I just think that it seems that the Shard is a little bit better than what it was for support Hoodwink, with the little boomerang coming out now, and you can do a little bit more damage with that. And then all the same things that Hoodwink has always done are just make this hero another one of these heroes. I think a lot of the A tier heroes are heroes that have just always been decent or like okay, maybe we're hovering around B tier, C tier, and then a lot of stuff got nerfed and they kind of rose to the top. And then Nyx is just, this Spike Carapace is just insane, dude. I think that's the biggest thing is there's a lot, like Lina is very good, so Nyx is going to be great against Lina because, you know, all of that, how would you say, indirect damage. Any hero that does indirect damage like that, Nyx Assassin is just so good against because all you have to do is just walk up, Spike Carapace, wherever they're going to cast a spell, and they just like perma-stun themselves. It's so annoying to play against a Nyx Assassin with any kind of hero like that. Dawnbreaker, this hero just straight up counters, you know, that hero instantly. Clinks is pretty good right now. So this hero also counters Clinks. You just press that, you just walk into his barrage, and now he just has no barrage. You know, he can't kill people with it. I probably didn't want to tell you that because I like playing Clinks. I'm like owning with the hero now, but I don't like seeing Nyx Assassin. I don't like playing it against it. But in any case, there's a lot of heroes like that. Any kind of channeling hero, like Drow is another one, another good one. There's all these ranged damage dealing heroes like with incidental damage or like indirect damage. I think Nyx is very good against them, obviously, and so that's why he's up here. Does all the same things he always does, but if you have a lot of good meta heroes that have all that kind of indirect damage, AoE damage, then Nyx is going to be very good. So that's A tier. Next, we're going to go to B tier. Bounty Hunter is at, this is just a weird hero overall. It's at a weird spot. I feel like people are playing it more of like as an off lane, which I always thought ever since they changed like the Ags and stuff. It seems like more of an off laner now because you want to get that Ags, you want to just rush those things and have a lot of farm. And then as a forward position, you just are playing the same way. You just hope that you can get there without like ruining the game. I think that's the biggest thing. It's almost like an Earthshaker. It's like almost an even greedier Earthshaker. Because if you can have impact in the lane and you can cause havoc in the mid game and stuff like that, and not just be this like useless laning partner, this useless bot that just tracks people in the mid game, if you can actually run around harassing supports, you know, stealing people's gold, harassing the enemy carry out of the jungle or whatever, if you can end up doing that and have good impact, this hero can be completely broken because you can literally get more gold like pretty quickly. You will get more gold than the offlaner even, and you will just like be another offlaner. Like you can have two offlaners. But I think this hero is just a feast or famine. You're either dominating the game and crushing, or you're just like literally so useless that you try to run in and track somebody and they immediately just dust and kill you. Like that's literally what this hero feels like. It feels like you're like running in and like 1v1 in cores, or if you approach and even track somebody for a second, you just die. That's literally what this hero feels like. Next, we have Clockwork. I feel like this hero is pretty popular. Maybe some people would say this hero's A. I don't know. I find this hero to almost be a little bit feast or famine-y too, because if you're not like doing really well in the matchup in the lane and you can just run people down with your battery assault and that kind of thing, sometimes I feel like you just want to have impact, but you just like can't. You know what I mean? Like if you're laning stage, if you can't run anybody down, that feels awful because then what are you really doing? I mean, you just kind of feel useless. And then later in the game, it's very matchup dependent because if there are good hook shot targets, and if you don't have anybody else that wants to initiate, obviously you can have a lot of impact. But with a lot of the mobility these days, I just feel like Clockwork, even though I think this hero is pretty good and has been getting a lot of buffs recently, there's just so much mobility. There's so many ways to save from this guy's hook. It just feels like it's so hard to actually get impact against good players or any kind of coordinated team. You can obviously go off in some lineups, some matchups and stuff like that, some games where the enemy just sucks, but that's just, Clockwork feels awkward because of that. Earth Spirit, I think if you're a good Earth Spirit player, I think a lot of B tier is described feast or famine in this way, because this here is another one where it's like, sometimes you just feel useless in the lane, sometimes you just roll in and do nothing, like sometimes the magic damage does absolutely, your ultimate's just like, why do you even have it, you know, but then at the same time, sometimes you just like, being crazy, rolling in, stunning people 1,000 times, you know, kicking people back out of position, you know, ulting people down, and just like killing cores even, you know, like It's like a mini Veno alt or something like that you have. And just so in that way, it just feels like you have the most impact in the world or literally no impact at all. And it's like, well, I can't even roll in or I just like instantly feed. Similar to like Bounty or Clockwork in that way. But hey, if you're a good Earth Spirit player, you can definitely play it. Shadow Shaman, I think, is one of these heroes that's been nerfed. Like, this hero has been good. I think it's still decent. The ultimate still is really good for, like, pressuring side lanes. It still is decent against Roche, even though it's not as good as it once was. I think if this hero, like, if you're able to get some farm on this hero and it goes to, like, 50, 60 minutes, like, you can literally just win the game. You just get, like, refresher ags or whatever, and you can just place wards in the base and they just have to deal with it. There's like, if they don't deal with it, they just lose a Rax like alone. Like you just do that alone. And I think that by itself is enough to make this hero legit, but it's also like perma-stunning people can never be counted out. So it's just obviously very squishy. Another very feast or famine because, you know, if you're not able to stun lock people and you're not able to get items to get that like those good ultimates, very strong ultimates, ags, refresher, these things, then you just literally are just like a one shot. Like people just jump on you and you just instantly die. You just are so squishy. You just get blown up. Like people press BKB, you just do nothing. Next, Monkey King, kind of okay, but this is just a carry. You're just a carry 4 position. So like even though all these other heroes, like you heard me talk about Ricky, you know how this used to just be carry 4 position. Well, this is just carry 4 position. So I mean, it still can be good. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, all of the B tier seems to be feast or famine. You're either just you might just be stunning from trees, honestly, if you don't have good impact and you're not getting items. And then Spirit Breaker is kind of like, maybe I should put Clockwork and Spirit Breaker next to each other. They can have insane impact. You know, sometimes you're just like running around the map, they can't deal with you, you're picking people off, you know, like you're ganking constantly. And then sometimes it feels like there's no one to charge, you're getting pressured. If you ever go in, you just die. I think it's the same problem that Clockwork has. I think lower MMRs, this hero is better though, than Clockwork, but just it's pretty good, I think, because like I think there's just a lot of like map positioning problems in lower MMRs. Like obviously the lower MMR you go, the worse people are at playing the map, and so this hero can really take advantage of that a lot, especially if you have like a Legion or someone else that wants to play with you and gank with you. So that's B tier. Next, we're going to go to C tier. So here we have Marcy, been nerfed a lot. I think this hero is still viable, still good, just the range of the spells and all the different aspects of the hero have been nerfed. But, you know, once you get to your levels and you do get your BKB, you still do a lot of the same damage and kind of the same stuff. It's just that you're not going to get there nearly as much. So it's fallen off. Now, I put it here at C tier because that's kind of where the statistics say and people aren't picking it as much. It's kind of just fallen out of favor because people have been sick of it for so long because it's been so good. I think it actually potentially is still powerful, but I'm just putting it down here because that's what the statistics say and people are just like done with the hero. So I'm kind of discouraging people from picking it by putting it down here. Phoenix, very powerful, but, you know, what are you doing in lane other than just fire spiriting? Like, this is kind of just like Earthshaker, but in a lot of ways worse. Like, it's just like this big team fight ultimate, and yeah, late game you're going to be insane, but honestly, before like 20 minutes, you just have no impact, dude. You just like sit there and just press R sometimes. So that's why I just think this hero is just, it's kind of all or nothing. Skywrath, a lot of damage, but relies pretty much on that and nothing else. And there's a lot of heroes that can deal with the damage this hero puts out. So that's why another all or nothing 4 position. I just feel like it's a lot better. As you notice, like the more versatile and like stuns that you have that are reliable, or like you can just do multiple things, then the better you are as a 4 position. Like you can carry, but you can also do other stuff. But like a Skywrath mage or like a Phoenix, like you can really only do one thing. So if you're not able to do that thing, you're just like screwed. Wind Ranger, again, carry from the 4 position. Like this hero, as the Seb, you know, buying shard, that's not that good anymore. So you just better hope you can get like a Maelstrom and like, or Blink and like stun people and hit them down. Dawnbreaker, kind of like Marcy, been nerfed a lot. I just don't see this hero as support anymore. I mean, it's okay, but it's more of just it's an off lane. It's not trash. Like you can still play it, but it's just not nearly as good. And then Gyro, actually, Gyro's C tier because the statistics say it's not that great, but I actually kind of like Gyro 4. I kind of want to see it buffed. I want to see Gyro be more of this like magic damage kind of hero. It's pretty cool. It's interesting. It's not just this like it's not just this boring AFK farmer like it's been for so long, for like 10 years plus, 15 years, whatever. So I do like this cool new build with the shard and the missile and just focusing on that. I actually think that it has potential to be like B or A tier even. But right now it's just not as good because you're just kind of relying on that missile being good. And if the missile's not good, like if people just kill the missile, or like you can't actually hit, like you're playing against Faceless Void or something that can just like time walk into the missile, then it's like, well, or a Slark, like, you know, he just dark packs off the missile and you're just like, oh, oops. You know, that's kind of your impact, and then you're hoping that you can drop an ult on people, you know. But anyway, that's Gyro. I kind of hope he gets better. I still think he can have insane impact, but just not super reliable. And then D tier, we have Enchantress and Io. I just say them together because they're like these healing, annoying, like team fight supports. And I think you have to like understand how to play them. And I think if you understand how to play these heroes, they can be still very good. I mean, you can like carry games alone with Enchantress. It's not the patch right now that these heroes are like the best. So obviously these are like a lot based on the pro meta. And so pros really aren't picking these heroes right now. So they're like D tier. But then, like, you know, next patch will come and they'll be A tier or S tier again, right? It's just like they're really good or really bad. They're like the Alchemist of supports. It's either a patch for them or not, really. That's kind of similar to like Chen and stuff like this too. But if you are very good at them, though, you can still play them because they're very like specialized. Lion is just, it's one of these heroes that everyone just picks because it's like he has stuns and stuff, but it's just like pick Shadow Shaman or something. Honestly, it's just like, this hero is just so squishy. It just has no defensive mechanisms, really. It's very, very annoying. The ultimate is just damage. I think that's really the problem with this hero is like like a Shadow Shaman has like a pushing ult. Like all these other heroes have these like, even like a Snapfire has like an AoE damage ult over time. This guy, you just click a guy, he just does damage. That's it. And it's not even that much damage. Like with the power creep, it doesn't do that much damage. So really you're just like 2 stuns and like a kind of annoying mana drain, but not even really. So really, the only viable thing this hero does is like delete illusions, honestly. That's really what this hero does. And obviously, even though Naga's good and still down here because it just has terrible win rate, so it shows you how bad the hero is right now. Pudge is just more of a core these days. You can still pick it as a support. If you have a good game, you can still stoneball, but at the end of the day, you're just becoming a 4th core. And you're just not, you're just relying on hooks. You're not doing the things that Pudge does with his new spells. So you're just like relying on getting hooks out of position, and that never feels good. You know, later in the game, maybe 30, 40 minutes, sure. That's kind of how the hero plays. You blink on people or you hook them out of base or hook them into base. Yeah, sure, of course. But you can do that from any position. So making that be your only play or like saving people with Shard is just not great. But if you're a Pudge player, it can still be good. So that's D tier. And then lastly, we have F tier. Weaver's just fallen off as a support. They've just like nerfed Sakuchi in the early levels. They changed the Shard. It's just not really a support anymore. I mean, you could still play it, but it's just not good. Keeper of the Light is a dead hero. Just don't play this hero right now. It's just really bad. It's just been dead ever since the nerfs. Lina is better in pretty much every position. Do not play this hero as a support. It's just not a support with the way this hero works anymore, largely because of the passive as well. I've seen some people trying to play this as a support. You need to be hitting creeps, though, to get the passive up. Where in the past, you could just hit a stun, hit your... and then hit your other 2 spells, and like you have max stacks, and you can do a lot of damage. It's like that's not what the hero does anymore, so it's not really a support. Zeus, just super greedy, not really a support. I guess you could get away with it, but like if you're wanting to like do damage and carry, like just pick another one. Pick Tiny or something if you want to do magic damage. Sniper, also not a support. I just keep him here because sometimes people play it. It's like you can still buy Ags, but like just don't do it, dude. He's better in every other position. And then Enigma, this is just like epic, ultra greedy 4-position pick. People still try to do it in like jungle and stuff. Just stop doing that. You're griefing the game. Please just stop. Especially now that Enigma's been nerfed a lot. Like maybe last patch you could get away with it when like Wraith Pact was good and stuff, but just you can't do that anymore. So that is F tier. This is the tier list for patch 7.32D for the 4 position. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you think heroes should be higher, lower, you know, maybe I forgot a hero, something like that. And as always, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all of those kinds of things. If you want to see more of these videos into the future and want to consider supporting me, go to my Patreon down below and sign up there. I also offer coaching there as well. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.